Hi, this is Barnaby Dillon. I'm going to tell you how to use proficiencies in EDU. A proficiency is a way to tag your assignment with something that's kind of like a standard so that you can see in science, for example, does a student know how to balance chemical equations by looking at all the assignments or tests that are tagged with that student knows how to balance chemical equations proficiency. So that'll give you a lot more information about what skills each student has and doesn't have than just a grade does. So if I look at my proficiencies, I click on proficiencies down here on the left, and for each student I can check them and click details, and it will say how they're doing on each objective, each proficiency that I've typed in. I call them objectives, but on EDU it's proficiencies, so I'll try to say that. So I can see that the student knows how to compare and contrast the four states of matter. And I have a lot of them. I've planned them out for my whole semester and made objectives that are more specific than the California state standards. And then I can see in the more recent stuff what the student is struggling with and needs more help on very specifically, instead of just he did bad on this homework assignment. Well, I don't know if he really did bad, or maybe he just didn't do it or was late, or I don't know, depending on how you grade. Another thing that you can get, I'll go back to where we were. If you click on coverage analysis, then it'll show you how many assignments and how many lessons you've put in for each proficiency. So I have a lesson for everything so that the students can go more or less at their own pace, and then I try to have at least also one assignment for each thing, sometimes two. So if there's something that's easily quizzed, then EDU is great for that, because then the score goes right into my grade book. Otherwise, I try to make something with higher level thinking that asks them to compare and contrast and illustrate and explain for each thing, so I really get a handle on how well they're understanding it. The way you add proficiencies for your class, and you can just do the state standards. That's a good place to start. The content standards I'm talking about, the ones that we have been using for quite a while. If you have the Common Core standards for your discipline already, you could put those in, but I don't have them yet for chemistry. It's a resource, so you click on resources to add your proficiencies, and then you click on browse, I think, and then add resource. You might just be able to click on add resource. But anyway, if you do it this way, then there's curriculum. So you can click on curriculum, you put a description in there. So then this is the overview, and then to look at the proficiencies, which there won't be any yet, you click here and you add proficiencies. So you can click right here and type each one, or if you want to put it in an Excel file, then you can import it from a file. So that's what I would do. For the first column in Excel, you put 1, 2, 3, or 4. 1 would be all the way on the left, and 2 would be an indentation, and 3 would be more of an indentation. You can put a code. So I put a number for my code, so I call my proficiencies, like for chapter 1, I call them 1.1, 1.2, name, and then description. And the things that you have to have is basically just the description. So then you just upload that, and then you get something like I showed you. And then once you have proficiencies, then I'll go back to my class. Whenever you add an assignment or lesson, you can choose the proficiency for it. So I clicked on assignments, and I'm going to add an assignment. I'm going to do freeform because that's the most flexible kind of assignment. And so I'll just call this one video assignment. Put your instructions in here, just like you normally would. And then right here you can choose set proficiencies, and so then you just check the one that corresponds to whatever one. So this assignment is going to test whether you are able to follow safety rules or not. And then way down at the bottom, for me, because I have a lot of proficiencies, then you click save. And before I stop, I wanted to show you one more example. of why this is a good thing to do. It gives you way more information than just a grade book about how each student is doing. So here's a table that someone made. I'll show you the author and put a link to it in a minute. But this is how a normal grade book looks, and it just has scores for each thing, and each thing may or may not be something that you know of what it's actually evaluating a student on. So this student did good on homework, but did poorly on a quiz and poorly on a test. So I don't know what that means. Maybe they need to study everything. Maybe they're having a bad day. Um, maybe they just need to study some things. Maybe they were gone. If you use proficiencies, then you can look at your proficiencies chart in EDU, and you can see based on whether each one is green or orange or red, and the percent it shows you on is someone doing work at an advanced level on specifically, in this example, identifying the elements of a story, so it's not a vague assignment. And you can also have, lesser ideas. So then you can look at Susan and see, well, she is really not doing work at a proficient level for any of the proficiencies, 1, 2, or 3. So we need to work on that. Whereas another student will do the bottom student, I guess, and the grades, it looks like she's doing pretty good. But if you actually have assignments and quizzes that are labeled with proficiencies, then you can see that she's doing good on 2 of them, but one of them she's actually not doing that well on and needs some more work. And this is from a really good article, it's very clear, called 7 Reasons for Standards-Based Grading by Patricia Scriffany. So you can do a search for that, and I'll try to put a link to it. But I'm using standards-based grading, and the proficiency screen on EDU allows me to do a really good job with it. So it's the technology that allows it to work, because otherwise it would just be too hard to keep track of everything. But to get a C in my class now, students have to be doing proficient work on all the most important proficiencies in chemistry. They can't not be doing well on some of them, but then be doing really good on some of them and still slide by with a C. So you can read this article if you're interested in that. It's totally changed how I'm teaching this year. Okay, I hope that was helpful. You can comment with any questions.